90s hip-hop laid the groundwork for everything that came after it, and everybody thinks they know who the most influential artists were. Right now, we're about to talk about the real top 6 MCs from the 90s who changed rap forever. Y'all know what time it is. Roll that intro. Grown Man Bars. What's good, my people? You are back with Grown Man Bars, the best Gen X hip-hop show on Method Man's internet, where we talk about nostalgia, hip-hop, and the best damn era in music there ever was. I'm your man, Chad, resident white dude, and that man with me is Big Absoloot, living proof that wisdom, chaos, and a 90s mixtape can all fit in the same human. B.A., what's good, baby?
I was born on that. I was bred from that. Birth through fire of that. I'm good, fam. What's going down?
That is what's good. While y'all are here, smash on that like and subscribe button because that stuff really helps the channel out. And if you are listening by podcast, go on and smash all those buttons too. I don't even care which ones you hit. Just push them all. BA, tonight, I want to start a fight.
Oh, so we right into it. Okay, so that's what we're doing today. We on that.
I'm coming in hot. Right. We are going to do our top 6 90s MCs who were the most influential on rap. Now, I do not mean
us.
Now, let me say this. This is also the top 6. It's ours, but it's also the. So I just want to be clear. One thing I do want to say, we're not talking about the rappers who were the most influential in the 90s. I'm talking about 90s rappers who debuted and ran through the 90s, who became influential on the whole culture. And looking at this 6 on this list, man, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I would put this list up against anybody else's list. I do not care. So if you disagree, fine. Put your list down in the comments, and then we can cook it later on when you're not around.
Through that thing. We'll go through that.
Now, let me give you the criteria, because we've been doing this for a year now. You have to have criteria. We can't just say who are the top 10, because I don't know what we're talking about if you just ask me for a blanket top 10. Criteria, what we're talking about is blueprint impact. Did rappers copy them? Did they form an entire lane? Cultural power. Did their presence shift the culture? Media, fashion, politics. Regional expansion. Did they open doors for entire regions? Style innovation. Cadence, delivery, hooks. Did all of that become a model? And finally, longevity of influence. Very important one. Do we still hear them in 2025? And that's not necessarily them rapping, it's their influence. What we are not talking about is sales. You sales warriors out there, look, it is easy to make that argument because you just got to look it up and point
to it.
We're not talking about sales.
Don't nobody care about that.
Look, I've been researching that shit for weeks, man. Nobody even knows who leads, and I don't even know if the people who run streams know how to count streams.
Different avenues of having to pull data together to say this is total stream.
We're not talking about awards because, let's face it, they didn't give out a lot of those to rap in the 90s anyway. And we are not talking about personal nostalgia or who's the GOAT debates. I don't care what the emotions are. I'm talking about impact. The architects of the 90s, man. Give me your first blueprint rapper from the 90s.
We talk about influential. The Don Mega. Period. Yes, Ice Cubicle. O'Shea of the Jackson. Period. I mean, look, man. Ice Cube, for no other reason, once he left N.W.A, that in itself, just that. Cube leaves N.W.A, goes solo. Just that. That had people talking for 4 years. Just that. If all he did was make the one album, just that. But then the beef happened. No Vaseline happened. But Cube did something different, which I feel like this is why he's on the list. He became more involved in what was happening to the people of the culture. You know, you can throw out the term political if you want to, but America's Most Wanted, Death Certificate, I Want to Kill Sam is a song a lot of people don't even bring out, but I Want to Kill Sam and Us on that Death Certificate joint. These are anthems aimed at directly at what's going on with the war on drugs, the war on poverty, just all of those things. And he became something to the West Coast that to me allowed you to move from the little box of California being, I'm standing shoulder to shoulder with Chuck D. Chuck D say it, I say it. He say it the East Coast way, I say it the West Coast way, but we saying the same things now.
Let's be real, he had plenty of material because Southern California kind of exploded in 1992.
Yeah. And for him to still be relevant when Dre left N.W.A. We all know what happened when that happened, the formation of Aftermath. But he was just on a trajectory that no one could catch until years later, in my opinion. He expanded himself multiple facets over. Let's talk about the film, the cult classic Friday. Let's talk about Friday. And other people have did the movie thing, but none of them was like a Friday. People still watch Friday now just so you can be like, yo, I never noticed there was a dude laying in the bed with old girl when she was on the phone talking to Ice Cube. Like little things like that. But he became the statement for the West, and he was glad to carry the moniker, even forming the supergroup West Side Connection. So for me, man, Cube didn't just rap the 90s, bro. He gave us a dissertation of what the 90s was. I mean, that's how I feel. You got somebody you thinking about?
Indeed, I do. And if you listen to this show, you probably know where I'm going to go. But I'm going to not be the polite history teacher, because if we're talking 6 rappers who shaped the 90s the most, Rakim is not optional.
The 18th, I see you.
I know he did great work in the late 80s, but I got my 5-point palm exploding heart technique. 5 points for why Rakim was so important to hip hop. Number 1, Rakim rewired lyricism. Up to that point, everybody was on just end rhymes. You know, that simple A-B rhyme scheme with a hype delivery. Rakim shows up with internal rhymes, multis, a conversational cadence, and this crazy bar overlap. He was just doing things that nobody was doing. Every elite 90s MC that you can think of, Mos Def, Nas, Black Thought, I mean, name them, they pulled from him. And when you hear them in interviews, they name him. So it's almost like every 90s MC that we love is either rapping because of Rakim or running from what Rakim
everybody
did.
knows how much I love the white dude. Everybody knows how much I love Slim. And Slim is quick to point out the skill level of Rakim and how big of an influence the R was. And, you know, Slim dropped in 2000. That's a decade later. So,
right?
I see.
Number 2, he changed the tone of East Coast rap. We've said this before, but before then, everybody was yelling. It was all hype music. There was a lot of yelling, man. It was hype. It was party music or it was hype music. There was a lot of yelling. Ra did not do that. He was surgical when he did his thing. I mean, he gave the 90s its entire tone, which I think was cold, controlled, and confident. You've talked about this before, to get that whole bar out in one breath. The reason that rap felt like movies in the 90s was because Rakim invented the camera angle.
I like that. I seen an interview with him about how he writes his bars and whether he's doing a chop 4, if he's doing an 8, if he's doing a 12, so however, whatever he's deciding to put, he literally makes that many dashes on a piece of paper. And he tries to fit every word and syllable he can into that. And it taught me how to, because before then, I was a freestyle dude growing up. I could come up with concepts for songs, but I wasn't really a writer. I wasn't a sit down, write a rhyme kind of dude. I'd hear what you did. I could just go off of what you did.
He made
Yeah,
he
he
made it a
taught me how to
science.
write, for sure.
That is why. And I like the way those two paired together because they roughly came out about the same time. They roughly started working about the same time. And they both were two people who heavily influenced the way their coast rapped. Cube
Sure.
and Rakim. Both were like that. So let's move on to the next. To our next tier. BA, what you got for me on your next rapper from the 90s who influenced
I'm going to go to the
hip-hop?
third coast. I'm going to go to the
Oh,
and I'm just going to say, not the Mecca of Southern hip hop. I'm talking about the Mecca of the South. If T.I. is the king, then this person is the Mecca of what Southern hip hop is. And if you ever met him, you know, he would greet his father with his hands. With his hands out. None other than Brad Jordan, man. Face.
Rehabilitated.
We could go all day. And I mean, anybody watch the show, no stranger to how either one of us feel about Face. But what I want people to understand about Face wasn't his rhymes. It was the depth of the darkness he was able to come out in his bars. I never seen a man cry till I seen a man die.
Yeah.
Money and the Power, where he talked about just problems between him and trying to be this person and dealing with family. I mean, we go through his whole catalog and I won't. But my favorite, I mean, of course, I have several favorites, but he had a song called A Wall. And it was a very introspective song because it was his own mind. There's a part in the song where he says, Mr. Scarface is facing Mr. Scarface. We've been two different people from the jump. One is too smart, the other's too effing hard. And both refuse to be outsmarted. But when you're able to weave in and do those things, we're talking 92, 94. Now let's fast forward. I believe, hi, my name is, I believe artists like that were able to do things like that with Stan. Again, being able to pull out not necessarily a persona, but be able to tell a story from 2 points of view. Go DMX with the Damon series, or Stop Being Greedy, 2 different perspectives. But what Face really gave us was a foundation from the South. Because before the Ghetto Boys, if you were in Miami, you heard Miami music. Nobody really knew what Atlanta music was outside of Crisscross. Let's keep it a buck. Because Shadi and some of those other guys weren't getting the love.
Nobody
if you were
took
in
it
Memphis,
seriously.
you might have heard of A-Ball and MJG, but you didn't hear very many other people. But everybody knew who Scarface was. And whether the radio told you who he was or not, the industry knew. He was always a figurehead to be able to lean on and give you something that just stopped time. And then think about the album consistency. From Mr. Scarface's Back to The Diary. I think about the song he did with Jay-Z. That's the one that stuck in me. There was a podcast where he talked about where he came up with his bar on Rock La Familia, This Can't Be Life, with Jay-Z and Benny Siegel. And he literally got a phone call from his boy that his boy's son had died. I won't go into how it happened, but he, his friend lost his son. He wrote that whole verse by trashing his original verse. And he says in the verse, I could have rapped about myself in this song, but heaven knows it would have been wrong. It wouldn't have been right. It wouldn't have been love. It wouldn't have been life. It wouldn't have been us. It can't be life. But when you do that, who was doing that before him? We talk about a lot of names, but who was really like, he went to South like a backpack. He walked around with the brunt of the South, what would later become the expansion, all by himself, man. The Diary, 5 mics. You didn't see a lot of rappers getting 5 mics.
Especially outside of New York.
He was able to do things outside of Texas that other Southern rappers couldn't do outside of their region. Face, he just didn't chase the radio, man. The radio chased Face. He made the world, or at least the country, pay attention to the South long before anybody else did. So, what's up with you?
I'm glad you kept comparing him to Nas because that's who I picked to pair with him.
We get juicy.
I love the way
it's spicy. You did say we was finna fight today, for real.
Yes. All right, look. We've said a lot about Nas on here, but there's a few reasons to one, Nas taught MCs. I'm sorry, not rappers. He taught MCs how to make an album. I feel like up until that point, albums were playlists.
Okay.
And when Nas dropped Illmatic, albums had to be movies.
Had to have some visual
because
to it.
he showed you.
Had to have some visual.
They did. He had that storytelling. He popularized the street poet, the guy who was sitting on the stoop watching everything and poetically telling you what was going on. That's what he invented. And if there's no Illmatic, then there may be no, or at least it's a long time before Ready to Die, Reasonable Doubt, the infamous Liquid Swords, all of those favorite albums that come out of New York, they won't be that. They would not look like that without Illmatic. Nas turned it into cinema, man. He turned it into making movies. And he gives birth to a generation, Mobb Deep, Jay-Z, Cormega, who we don't talk about
really
a lot.
Should.
Cormega, and then, Raekwon, all the way to Cole and Kendrick. And here's the thing that I love the most. Nas made rap feel literary. He made hood life feel literary without losing any of the grit. He could still keep hood life realistically grimy and poetic at the same time. That's a hell of a writer,
You know
man.
what somebody said to me once? We were arguing because I've been stuck on Rakim being up there in that G word for a long, long time. And so we were talking about Rakim and Nas or whatever. My dude said the craziest thing to me. He said, Nas made dudes who didn't go to college feel like a street dude could go to college. He said, like, when you listen to Rakim, you felt like you needed a college degree. Then you got Nas, and it was like street dudes was like, I mean, I go to, ITT Tech or something. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It ain't nothing to give me a little certificate. You know what I'm saying? He said he had street dudes talking like, ideally.
That's exactly right. Like, he didn't raise the bar. He made the bar intelligent. He made it okay to talk intelligently about your world. As somebody like me who is a nerd, he made a little bit of nerdery okay. It was okay to nerd out on stuff and talk intelligently about where you were from. But one of the things that I really give Nas credit for, especially during the 90s, Nas shined in two lanes in the 90s. Boom bap.
People don't really give Nas a lot of boom bap credit, but they don't. I mean, we talk about Nas, you're not like, man, he was definitely boom bap, but he kind of was.
But after Illmatic, he started to switch lanes and went into the mafioso, and he did just as good in that lane. He did just as good in that lane. I think Nas gave the 90s its conscience. Nas told us what we needed to be looking out for, what we needed to be thinking about. And that, to me, it's still there. I'll finish it with this, something that we've said, that you said one time that we've repeated a lot. After Illmatic, for the next 10 to 15 years, everybody was chasing Illmatic.
Yeah.
That was it. For a decade, if not more, people were trying to remake that album. That was what they wanted to do. I want to do my Illmatic, is what everybody wanted to do. And if that ain't influence, I don't know what is.
Album is great when people tell you your sophomore album is trash, and it too could be one of the top 10 greatest albums in hip hop because of how good your first album was. Like everybody said Nas had a sophomore jinx. He didn't. His freshman season was Michael Jordan 96. I mean, it was right. It was, you know what I'm saying? It was the 93 Chicago Bulls. Like, what do you want me to do?
You came in with the best album ever. There is nowhere to go but down.
There was going to be a decline because the measuring rod was you. So
right. Yeah. You were the bar from then on.
Go down from there. Yeah.
And like Andre said, you're only good as your last project.
1, 2.
All right, so that's my pick. Nas is stamped. Who you bringing to the table for your last 90s architect who actually had an influence on the entire
First of all,
culture?
let me start the statement by saying, don't argue with me. Argue with your mom. What I'm about to say, and I'm going to preface it with this. This might be the single most influential figure in hip hop, period, point blank.
That's a teaser, y'all.
For that. I'm talking about then facetious, of course, other than George Hinton's grandson himself, Calvin, for shizzle dizzle, Snoop D-O-double. I mean, where you want?
I want to start real quick with simultaneously the best and worst rap name in all of the industry. The best and the worst.
Look here, Snoop. The Voice.
Yes, sir.
Let's start there. The Voice.
Mm.
One of the most recognizable voices in hip hop. The Izzle, the Dizzle, at all. You just add Izzle in. It was, you and I joke all the time. Well, like one of our greatest deaf poetry moments was Jamie Foxx's "Off the Hizzle for Shizzle," right? But it's one of those things where if Cube blew the and West Coast, and I don't mean exposed in a bad way, I just mean gave the West Coast exposure. Let's say, then what Snoop did was title from the G-Funk, the house that Dre built couldn't have been built without Snoop. Right? Aftermath, we seen what Aftermath started as before Snoop was involved. And don't get me wrong, Hitman was cool, RBX.
We all remember Aftermath Present.
Yeah.
Or maybe we all don't remember
and
that.
I mean, I do, right? He worked with a lot of Be Real, Nas, KRS. He worked with a lot of people on that.
Actually, I believe he broke Eve, right?
He did on that project. But when Snoop came, Snoop made it be cool to be a gangster, not a thug. That's something different. Pac was a thug. Gang banging had a horrible name in the world, and it should have. But Snoop made it cool to be a gang member, sort of.
Let me ask you this. How did Snoop's coolness bounce off of Cube?
Well, look at it this way. You have to have a wall for a bounce. Cube's political view of the culture gave Snoop a foundation to bring fun back. What's happening in the neighborhoods, the Watts riots, Hollywood burn, the Rodney King situation. California had a lot of things happening that were very serious and did need to be talked to, need to be spoke up on, needed to be brought to the masses. So you have that. Anybody will tell you if you have a day, if you're 24 hours in a day and all 24 hours of your day was police beatings, police brutality, it's not a great day. It's a gotta have some balance. Snoop was the balance.
Yeah.
Cool was an impact, as crazy as that sounds.
Yeah.
And to have a video where you turn yourself into a Doberman and the metamorphosis looks almost natural. You have to understand a dog is loyal. Everybody loves a dog. You know what I'm saying? Khakis, the West Coast normal gear became a fashion statement. You had people all over wearing Chucks. The last time Chuck Taylor sold that many shoes, he was hooping in them.
Just a quick aside, to that generation, if y'all play basketball in Chucks, y'all had Flintstone feet. I don't know how y'all did that.
Shout out West Side. I know a lot of dudes that hooped in Chucks. I know dudes that hooped in Chucks and Dickies. Craziness. Khakis, creased. Anyway, who had a bigger debut than Snoop?
Very few.
I mean, let's go from G-Thang to What's My Name in that 5.5 month period. 2 songs, really, signature, and everybody knew your name, and everybody was for shizzle dizzle from that moment. He topped Billboard. He got more airplay on MTV than any rapper that I knew of that wasn't a quote unquote fun guy. But to turn that into a style, very laid back. That just, I can't, like I said, I just can't think of anybody who has really influenced the culture on so many fronts as Snoop has and stayed as relevant as Snoop has. But you know, that's just me. I know you got something working over there. I see your hand. I see your Dr. Evil look on your face. I know you got something over there.
Shh, Scotty, shh. Yeah, I got one for you. Now, this dude, I will agree with you. I think as far as popularity wise, I don't think there's a question that Snoop is the most popular rapper that has existed. I mean, globally, if you want to look at the worldwide, I don't think there's really any question to that. I think this guy did the same thing on the East Coast that Snoop did on the West. He didn't get as big, and I think it's criminal that he didn't in that sense. Mine is, and this might be a little bit of a surprise for a top 6, Method Man.
Okay.
One, I go with Method Man because Method Man to me was what made Wu-Tang accessible. Wu-Tang was complicated. They had a lot of different rappers and all of these albums that were coming out. They were doing a lot of complicated things. Meth translated all of that in an easy way to people. He was like if Wu-Tang was a hardcore drug, Method Man was the gateway. He was the weed that led you to the hardcore drug. He had so much charisma, but he was still grimy. He almost occupied the space that Cube had and the space that Snoop had at the same time. Because he could still be grimy, he could still talk about real street issues, but then he could do How High. And he could do anytime he got together with Redman. They were funny. He could do funny. I guess it's the way that he made, you could still be grimy, you could still be a street dude, but in the same way that Snoop did, you could still have fun. You could still crack jokes. You could still laugh at shit. The other thing for me, for Meth, is Method Man's skill as an MC is criminally underrated. It is a crime that we don't name him in more top 10 lists when it comes to that. And you see him even more now, like when he moved over to battle Math Hoffa in battle rap.
It was good.
And I know you're getting ready to say what I think. That's debatable.
It was good. If you know, for not being in that. But I'm glad you put it that way too about Meth, because had there been no Method Man part of the Wu-Tang, I don't think I would have jumped on the Wu-Tang movement for some years.
Me either.
Now, Genius will forever be the Genius. And then RZA, of course, I'm just a fan of the production, because I don't think that dude, I think that dude literally goes outside and beats on bottles, and whatever sounds he hears, he just records them and comes back and makes beats from them. He's just using atmosphere at this point. But Meth made it simple for me. He made me love, because I was a bar guy, so he made me love bars, but it wasn't just overtly New York slang that I couldn't relate to because I'm from the South. Instead, he gave me something I'm like, okay, that was fire. Like, you know.
One other thing he gave you was the ability to operate in every pocket of hip hop. All of his features, everything that he did with Wu, everything that he did with Redman, all of his Wu-Tang solos, to his solo albums. I mean, he could do something with Redman, he could do something with GZA, and then turn right around and do a track with Mary J. Blige. And he could fit in every one of those pockets. I mean, and now the reason I put him in here is because of what he means to hip hop now. Method Man has this intelligence and understanding of hip hop and the culture. He didn't just shape it, like he gave it swag. He gave people a chance to be street dudes and have swagger. Like you said, Snoop, to be a street dude without being a gangster. Before we get to the final verdict, it is time for
Argue with Your Mama. And let's talk about it today. Today's Absolute Truth is dedicated to a duo whose very presence told the whole culture to slow down, relax, keep it funky. Before the gold chains, because they sported them dope ropes, before they had a name, they gave hip-hop one command that still echoes with people like me in the speakers to this day. Simply, you got to chill, chill, chill. From Brentwood, Long Island, two young cats, Eric Sermon and Perry Smith, took the phrase and built a legacy. EPMD dropped in 1987, right in the middle of hip-hop's golden age, when rugged boom-bap, DJ-driven production, dance floor funk samples, and hard rhymes defined the style. The fifth group, I believe, Russell signed to Def Jam, they were part of the makeup that kept the Def Jam Island afloat. EPMD was something different, smooth, unbothered, laid back, confident. While other groups barked and did a bunch of rah, 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 EPMD had it. Their formula simple, funk samples, slow flow, tag team chemistry, felt effortless. Their debut album, Strictly Business, came out in 1998. It set the tone. No gimmicks, no nonsense, straight business. They had a run, though. And this, for me, is one of those runs we can argue with Outkast's runs. Strictly Business, Unfinished Business, Business as Usual, and Business Never Personal all came out 98, 99, 90, and 92. 4 classics back to back. Very rare era in hip-hop. They formed the legendary Hit Squad, launching names like Redman, Das Effects, Keith Murray, K-Solo, and many more. Business issues, accusations of a crazy home invasion, and an internal mistrust caused the duo to split in 93. EPMD went from Strictly Business to Strictly Separate. They both went on their ways. Eric Sermon focused on production, becoming a super producer, while Parrish actually took a different route. He became the front name of the Hit Squad. He carried the banner himself, putting out solo albums and trying to build his own lane. The beef was real, y'all. Like, make no mistake about it. It was personal. It was heavy. The kind that fans thought might never end, and I was one of them, because the home invasion situation got real. But hip-hop loves a comeback story. And in 1997, they reunited for Back in Business, proving that the chemistry never left. They came up with Out of Business in 1999, ironically titled, but culturally accurate. 4 straight gold albums. Pioneers of the slow flow. Fathers of the hip-hop. Influenced many artists. EPMD showed the world how to make hardcore hip-hop smooth. Their motto never changed. No nonsense, no gimmicks, just business. It's your boy B.A. This is the Absolute Trooth.
That's what it is. So from one influential group of the 90s to the top 6 MCs from the 90s who influenced all of hip-hop. We came up with Ice Cube, Rakim, Nas, Scarface, Snoop Dogg, and Method Man. And I don't give a damn what y'all say. I'll put them 6 up against any 6 you want. Matter of fact, we didn't just name the 6 best. We named the 6 who bent the decade.
If your 90s changed, if you remove these, like, is it different for you without a Snoop, without a Face? Then the list is facts. And if you disagree, cool. Like we said, bring your receipts, put down your lists. We'll work through it for you.
That's right. Your 6. Put your 6 down in there. And if you need more than 6, that ain't a list. You are all in your feels. That'll do it for us in this episode. I appreciate y'all for hanging in with Grown Man Bars talking that Gen X hip hop. I'm your man, Chad. That's my man, BA. And we will catch y'all same time, same place next week, y'all. Everybody be good out there.
Kick ass!